Since it first convened in 1790, the Supreme Court has overseen many cases and issued countless opinions. While it has changed over the years, the Supreme Court plays an important role in upholding the Constitution. Dr. Gary Hylander has given several talks at the Needham Free Public Library, and on Tuesday, April 18th, he continued a series called All Rise, A History of the Supreme Court.
It's John Marshall who will bring the court in and make it a co-equal branch of government and pioneer in that historic decision of 1803, Marbury versus Madison, judicial review. As Marshall said, it is the duty of the court to determine which laws are valid and which laws, and these are his words, not mine, repugnant to the Constitution. I would like them to see how the court has become the last court of appeal. The real difficult topics now are being thrown to the Supreme Court because they're elected for life. They don't have to campaign. They're not going to be hooted at, in court when they're delivering an opinion, and their salaries cannot be reduced. So the court has been literally, and the pun's intended, the court of last resort, that the real hot potatoes have been handed off to the court.
Understanding the history of the Supreme Court can help comprehend current events.
Well, we have the problem with Barack Obama having his nominee stiff-armed by the Republicans, and the Democrats would have done the same thing, I'm convinced of that, if the Democrats had been a majority or had enough votes to do it. And now we have the Neil Gorsuch nomination and his approval by the Senate, which is a terrific, unexpected benefit to talking about the Supreme Court, because that allowed me to talk a little bit about the history of Senate confirmation hearings. Justice Gorsuch, who was sworn in by Justice Kennedy, and Gorsuch is the only person to sit on the bench who has clerked with a sitting justice. So Anthony Kennedy, who's 80 years old, still on the court, Neil Gorsuch clerked for him. And this is the only time where a former clerk has been sworn in by his boss, if you will. I think it's a great touch. It's an historic touch. And Gorsuch, as an attorney, as a judge, has written over 2,000 opinions, and they tend to be center-right. They tend to lean toward Scalia, original intent, if you will. So we'll see where this new, well, now that the court is up to 9 members, where it winds up in the coming session. This session will end sometime in June, maybe late May and June, and then the court goes into recess. So everybody here is primed to be reading and watching and listening about the court, about the John Roberts Court, and where Neil Gorsuch is going to wind up in as not the outman, but maybe the decider, 5-4. 4-5, depending on which way it goes. It's exciting times, and the court today handles the real hot potatoes, as I said. It's easier for the court to do this, and for a lawmaker, for a House member or senator saying, I may not agree, but I'm respecting the integrity and the honor of the court. They protect the dollar, they protect private property, and the rule of law.
All Rise, A History of the Supreme Court with Dr. Gary Hylander will continue on May 16th and June 20th at 7:30 p.m. For the Needham Channel News, I'm Ashley Morin.